Welcome back, everybody. We're going to do a range test today of this plate carrier and plate system from RTS Tactical. I've gotten a lot of requests to review it simply because, well, a couple reasons, I suppose. Number one, it's 2020, so demand for armor is just off the charts. Two, it's in stock as of right now anyway. Who knows after this video goes live. And three, it's reasonably priced, and the armor itself is level 4 and is not super heavy, which is always nice as well. So what we're going to do first is take a look here at the carrier, because I do kind of dig it, and then we're going to look at the plate, and then we're going to shoot them, see what happens. Getting into the details here on the carrier, I should point out the mag pouches there are an optional thing. They don't just come with it, but you can add it in the drop-down menu. 3 AR mag pouches, single stack. I like that. For most folks, has the pull tab there to release. Of course, you don't really have to use those unless you want to, depending on the environment you're in. You know, if you're doing an airborne operation, yeah, you probably want them. If not, you don't really need them, in my opinion. That said, one of the reasons for that is inside of them, inside of the pouches, there's actually sticky rubber material in there. So that's just doing a little bit more to keep everything where it needs to be. You guys can see good bit of force and absolutely no movement. So the pouches are pretty solid and well made, in my opinion. So there is that. Of course, they're just MOLLE webbed in there. As you would imagine, we have these 2 tabs here that have buttons on them, and I'll show you what that's for here in a second. But we'll pull up, and that will reveal, of course, the cummerbund where it's hooked in, hook and loop all the way around. 1913, or MOLLE, excuse me, MOLLE webbing all the way around. You can open it up, as you see here. And at this point, we see our little drainage holes there where our armor is, and then here on the bottom where the buttons also button in. And it's not just buttons on there, which is cool, which it is. There's also Velcro. So again, kind of redundant systems, which in armor is good. That's what we want. And then in there, you guys can see we have our plate secured via that little strap in the middle there, which holds it in, and then you can pull it out there if you want to. So very well designed system. The reason that you want your plate secured like that is that it allows it to not move when you're moving. You do not want body armor jumping around on you when you're jumping around. It's just not good. So of course you can button it back down. Now I will tell you straight up front, I've worn body armor, a lot of different types. I have no idea what this is. Not a clue. If you guys know what these tabs are, let me know. But we have good breathable material in there. The way it sort of sticks out there a little bit, what that does is it lets the rest of this get good airflow, which I do like. You can run it, of course, without the cummerbund if you don't want to. We have these straps here if you want to run it sort of as like a minimalist rig. That said, if you don't want to use these and you want to use a cummerbund, you can just store them back behind your rear plate here, underneath the cummerbund, and not have it flapping away. Now it does come, the cummerbund, with a section here for 8x6 armor panels. A lot of people know that if you look at some of the data that came out of the War on Terror, a lot of guys got shot in the side because, you know, if you're shooting a rifle, you tend to expose your ribs, even if your plates are in the front. So some folks like to do that. In my personal rig that I run, I actually have soft armor inserts in there, but they make hard armor as well if you guys want to add it. It's in the drop-down menu there when you go to order. But you don't have to use them if you don't want to, of course. So there is that. Of course, we have our spot here up front for any sort of morale patch that you may want to use. Came with this, so I threw it on there, and we have, it's all MOLLE, so the whole thing is, so if you want to actually use it to attach stuff, you can do that as well. I know a lot of guys like to run pistols up top there. We have our adjustable shoulder straps, and if there was one sort of thing I don't really like about it, is the length on these. They're a little bit too long for me, in my opinion, because as you can see, set up for me, it's actually coming down here. Now that said, I'm guessing it's just to accommodate bigger folks, because that sort of is the norm, I suppose, these days, that folks are a little bit bigger. But what happens is when you tighten it down, you have this excess shoulder padding here, and I should point out, really good padding, and it's also nice and wide there, which is important for distributing the weight. But you can see they thought about it, and it has that piece there where you can actually hook it in there, so that way it's not flopping around on you. So I do like that. It's well thought out, but very quick to adjust. Just open it up, pull it down where you need it. Again, mine, I believe, was right about there. On the back here, we have, again, more MOLLE webbing, as you would imagine. Again, good Cordura all the way around. The bar stitching is solid. There's absolutely nothing to complain about there. This is a little bit weird and unconventional in terms of the drag handle here. You can see, again, really good stitching there where it folds. It's actually box stitched in right here, along with the shoulder strap. So interesting the way they did it. Typically you'll see them down here on the actual back, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and it seems plenty strong. We pulled the plate out of the carrier so we can actually test it. A couple things to note: you guys can see there it has that curve to it, which is nice. Obviously over flat armor, it just feels a little bit less obtrusive. Of course, all armor is going to feel like crap because it's armor, but it is what it is. The curve is definitely better than not curved. It's just over 6 pounds, 10 by 12 plate there. Has that nice finish there on the outside, kind of sealing everything in there. It's a composite plate, ceramic and polyethylene. On the back there we have all of our information. Threat level, it says NIJ level 4. That said, I do not believe this is actually an NIJ certified plate. So anyway, we're going to set it up and start shooting it. Just a couple caveats before we get started. Number one, I am not an NIJ certified lab, so everyone who wants to complain about that below in the comments, shut up. We have the plate downrange at about 12 yards, and I always debate whether or not to go straight out with the hardest to defeat or just to sort of work our way up. This one we're kind of going to do a little bit of both. I have some Minuteman Munitions 9mm here, 115 grains, so it's going fast, coming out of an 80%er, and we are going to see how it stops it. Let's check it out. As you guys can see, we had our impact right there, and we had no pass through, a very, very small amount of backface deformation. You guys probably can't see it, but you can feel it there with your hand. All right, we're stepping it up big next. For folks that don't know, this is the standard for level 4. It's 30-06 armor piercing round. This one's going to be coming out of my Springfield 1903, so barrel length, we got plenty. And again, we're at 12 yards, so this is what it's supposed to be able to stop. We'll see. Awesome. You guys saw it there, the slow-mo, it definitely hits with some authority. You guys can see that white stuff, that's just ceramic, right? And then it has the polyethylene behind it. Definitely a good bit of backface deformation. Not sure how much that shows up on camera, but it probably pushed it back a ½ inch. So a good bit, but it stopped it. Again, level 4, that's what it's supposed to do. It did it just fine. And now we're just gonna keep beating it up. Next up, we have some 5.56 M193 from LAX Ammo, coming out of a 16-inch IWI rifle here. Again, right 12 freaking yards, we're close. Some of that ceramic hit me in the face. Let's check it out. It's worth noting, after saying that it hit me in the face, that if you're wearing a carrier, obviously that wouldn't be an issue. But we had our entrance there. Again, you can look in there and see the ceramic all broken on up. And then a little bit of deformation there on the back. Nothing like the AP, as you would imagine. Just huge disparity in power. Let's keep going. Next up, we have some Red Army Standard, obviously 7.62 by 39 hollow point. It is steel jacketed ammo, so that can matter. We have our PSA GF3AK. Side note, this thing has so many rounds through it at this point, it's almost comical. Thousands, and it keeps going. US made AK, it's doing okay. All right, let's do it. We had our impact point right here. You guys can see again, a little bit of this cover material came out. Slight amount of deformation, not much. Obviously there's a little bit there from the 30-06, but not a ton. I should note too, folks always ask, what am I using as a backer? So because that does matter, right? If you just had a plate out there with nothing behind it, it'd be easier to stop stuff than if there was something behind it, right? Makes sense. So that box is full of clay. I would estimate it probably weighs about 60 pounds. My table is kind of bowing a little bit because it's super cheap, but it is a pretty decent backing of the plate while we're testing it here. Anyway, let's keep going. All right, we have some green tip M855. And again, we're going to be coming out of the IWI mid-length. We'll see how it likes just the tip. Let's see. I tried spacing all these out, so we had our 855 go in right there, and we definitely had a little bit of deformation coming, but not a ton. So stop that just fine. We're gonna keep going. All right, guys, we got more M193. However, this time we're coming out of a 20-inch barrel. This is my Aero Precision A4, and we'll see how it likes. I mean, this is speed. Speed kills armor, that's what they say. We got some speed. Check it out. I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to kind of rig the test here to make it fail because I actually hit exactly where we hit the M193 before. That was my intent, just, you know, hold up here, of course, because of the optic. It hit right there again, so two M193s in the same hole, second one coming out of a 20-inch gun. No pass through. It's doing pretty well. All right, we're stepping it up for sure here along the same lines as the long barrel and the M193. We have some 6.5 Creedmoor. This is the 130 grain burger bullet from Federal. So in terms of 6.5 Creedmoor, this stuff is humming. And then of course we have a 22-inch barrel here on our Daniel Defense Delta 5. It's not rated for this. I'm just gonna tell you this straight up. So 6.5 isn't in the equation of the ratings, if you will. So we'll see. Let's see. As you guys probably guessed from the slow motion footage, we hit right here, which is below where our 30-06 hit. There's still a little bit of ceramic there. It's hard to tell though if it actually went through ceramic, unfortunately. I'm not sure, but we did have a pass through in the rear, and again, that's a damaged area. And then 6.5 Creedmoor coming out of a long barrel with a light bullet. It's just nasty. It did go through slightly. I'm going to check the target and see, or the box, excuse me, and see if I can see the bullet, but I kind of doubt I will. Regardless, all armor dies here, but it absolutely lived up to the level 4 standards. I'm gonna put a few AK rounds through it and see what'll happen actually before we close it out. Again, guys, the plate has already lived up to what it needs to. I just like to really beat stuff up here on the channel. I figure why not while we're here. We'll see what this 7.62 by 3.9 Red Army Standard does here. The AK with a damaged plate. Yeah, had a failure to feed there. Sometimes, guys, if you don't know, hollow points don't do well in AKs. This is actually the first time I've tried running them in this gun. Might not like it. All right, that's it. Let's see what we got. Not sure if you guys picked up on it there on the slow-mo, but I was essentially trying to put all the rounds right here just to see what would happen. And sure enough, one did get through, but only one. So that's actually quite impressive. Probably like the 6th or 7th round that we went through. But you guys can see there now the sort of composition of the actual plates itself. One thing that's nice to note there is that the armor itself does go all the way to the edge. Some plates have a little bit of like a buffer in there. These do not. The armor is all the way to the edge. So we have our ceramic, and then again that polyethylene, those layers that are in there, those little white layers. It might be tough to tell because again, we're losing light out here, unfortunately, but we wanted to get the test in today. Either way, all those rounds, one spot, one did go through, but again, the plate is already failed. That said, I think it did extremely well, especially considering the weight of it. A lot of level 4 plates that are composite weigh around 8 pounds, so just over 6 pounds. You're knocking 1.5 pounds off at least. That is not insignificant for anybody who's worn armor for a long period of time. You guys know that already. But with the actual carrier itself and the 2 plates that it comes with, I believe right now it comes in at $379. There'll be a link down below in the video description or pinned in the comments section. But I think it's good value. You know, you look around out there, competitive options, and the carrier itself is pretty high quality. It has some cool features. It was definitely designed by somebody who spent some time wearing body armor and wanted to kind of do it right, if you will. So if you're in the market for a plate and carrier kit, it's definitely one to look at. Of course, if you guys are new here and you like this type of video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you've already done that, make sure you hit the notification bell, hit the like button, all of those things that every single YouTuber says. It does help the algorithm. Either way, guys, thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you have questions that you need answered about this carrier and plate, you can post those over at my Facebook page. I do get back to everybody over there. Sometimes it takes me a little bit because there's literally hundreds of thousands of you and only one of me. Regardless, I appreciate you watching. I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.